This is your daily market review for Thursday, April 4th, 2024. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market review for Thursday, April 4th, 2024. As we've talked about, the market seemed to be bouncing and then always finding sellers over the last couple of weeks. We talked about how there was divergences in many different things. We talked about how the leader stopped leading, trash started floating, and the market in itself was giving a lot of red flags. Well, guess what? Somebody knew something was coming. And so we talked about the more you're up, the less you own, and you don't chase. It doesn't matter what it is. You don't chase. You got to be careful. A lot of folks they don't ever allow the market to come to them. They chase, and guess what? It works until it doesn't. And that's the thing. If you've been trading long enough, you know for a fact chasing market action is dangerous. Let it come to you, whether it's bullish or bearish. Always define your risks, set your stops, and do what you have to do to protect your capital. But a lot of people I saw putting themselves at a huge risk the last couple of weeks and assuming more versus less. Again, the risk reward was not in the favor of the upside. So let's see. Let's go through the charts. And you tell me what you see, hopefully, and it looks very simple. Again, we're not trying to create a narrative. We're just trying to interpret the markets for what they are. So if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room, link description below. If you want to chat, use the Calendly link. Hit me up. Let me know a time. Help you out. Love you. Help you with whatever it is, whether it's real estate, trading, markets, finance, whatever. Get your 5.5 on Marcus. Get your, I'm telling you, be careful with Schwab. Get your interactive brokers deal and recommended reading all on the website. Trading Agent, ton of stuff here. Also, you have all of the education series, which is also on the YouTube. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I appreciate it. Also follow on Twitter. Posted a ton of things this morning. I was talking about the anomalies and watch. Said be careful. So, yep, posted a ton of them. All right, yeah. If you got any questions, definitely do not hesitate to reach out. Leave a comment below. Let me know how I can help. I appreciate you guys. Again, if you're buying, selling, investing in real estate, time now is to build your searches. Start defining the markets that you're looking at. Create your relationships with a great real estate agent, because then when the time is right, strike. All right, we know there's no Fed cut coming in May, and we've been talking about the June one has been creeping up. Someone knows something. Why? I keep asking that question. Why are we cutting in June if everything's great? Why are we cutting if oil prices are screaming higher, up to $91 a barrel today? Doesn't make sense. Someone's wrong here, and the market's misleading. And again, the market's goal is to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people. So please, 10 cuidado. Bitcoin, yeah, just chopping around. Again, I think it's a little higher. Actually, I don't know why it's not refreshing. It always does this, isn't it? It bothers me tremendously, because it's like, why is TradingView doing this now to me? Why do you do this to me? Okay, yeah, I thought it was at 67,000. It's interesting because, again, I've said this. I would not be surprised if it's in big, choppy, sloppy range after a huge up move. Oil, cranking. Why is it not the refreshing? Yeah, I guess certain crude prices got up to 91, but look at that. It's been cranking. We talked about the huge short interest. We talked about if there is a recession, I still don't think the downside is huge. I mean, we have to refill the SPR. There's so many things that are going to continue to hold oil up, and it's kind of sad and dangerous, in my opinion. Nat gas, talked about. I like it. I don't think there's much downside, but if the market whooshes and they start throwing the baby out with the bathwater and everybody and their mom is unloading, well, guess what? Don't be surprised if natural gas catches a little downside. Dollar, we talked about it being overbought. Pulls back to the 100-day. So far, so good. TLT said had to hold this 91 area. Well, of course, geopolitical tension. This is exactly what we talked about. And again, I don't want to get on my soapbox about it, but we talked about the Feds need something to get people to buy bonds. They need something to help out with inflation. I don't know if geopolitical risk is going to help them now. It's just, ugh. We talked about the VIX. Somebody knew. We talk about these gap ups usually lead to more up, right? There you go. The VIXen and the VIVIX were all saying the same thing. We have levels to hold. We had bases holding, right? We talked about this retesting the range lows. All these signs within the market. Oh, but everyone's like, I'm just going to assume the best. And it's like, you're going to chase the market after. Look at this. I mean, again, I'm not trying to be mean. Oh, I'm going to chase the market and keep playing the up. I mean, again, at some point, just let it come to you. Just take some time off. Back off. If you need a short, define your risk. It's so simple. But everybody continued chasing. We said, watch it. I noticed today, this morning, I was like, man, as soon as this thing popped up, nothing. And then kapow, right? SPY. Now, where to? I mean, I'm pretty sure now. I was just thinking, I'm like, why am I not updating the fibs? It's pretty safe to say this move could be over. So let's draw the fibs. Man, you've got a lot of room to the downside if it decides to pull back. But again, we'll see. I mean, the first day, war, all this stuff could be inflationary, could push the markets up. I don't know, man. I don't know near term. I mean, longer term. I mean, near term, it just doesn't seem safe. We talked about choppy, sloppy top with the Qs. Talked about the IWM. Breakout, fake out, right? And then gap down, fills the gap this morning. He was watching that, gave it up. Diaz, we talked about, started to lag. And again, it's not whether you're bullish or bearish. It's like, what's the market doing? Does this all look bullish? Now, near term, don't be surprised if it chops around. Gold, we talked about the breakout. Talked about it. But however, we were like, are you going to buy gold? No, I'm not. I'm going to let it play out. I'm not going to chase it. We talked about silver. Again, I like these things long term. Don't get me wrong. I got physical at the yin yang, right? But I don't want to chase this action because I've seen the liquidity action, and here we go. Silver coming in the next reference point. Not surprised at 20, literally at 25 on this, it'll be at chops. GDX, again, this is my biggest worry. If the market pulls back, the miners get crushed. If there's credit issues, these companies are not safe from it. Again, the best time to buy them is when the Feds QE and cut. We're not there yet. So do not be surprised if we get choppy and sloppy, hitting some upside references as we talked about in the previous videos. Now what? I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, this is the thing. I'm not going to chase this action. I just don't chase. I let it come to me. AEM, same thing, coming to range highs. AG had a nice move yesterday, chopping around. Again, if these go a little higher, not surprised. I just won't chase them. I mean, there will be pullbacks. Newmont hits the 200-day. We talked about Newmont lagging forever. PAAS, chop it around, chop around, chop around, chop around, right? All right, tech. We said this is the easiest to me. This was the best trade is shorting tech, waiting for the pops. Look at Taiwan Semi. Touches the gap again. Kapow. Micron. This one's been holding up. Again, I wouldn't short this one as like the obvious. Makes a new high, closes at the lows. Be careful. We talked about AMD being absolute crap, meaning that it couldn't get anywhere, and you had to be nervous as a bull, right? Here's your high, your blow off high. The top is in, and now it's just biding time. All right, well, now you're coming in the next support, 100-day. I apologize for bulls. Again, this is where you let it play out and pull back. I got so many people going, this action's bullish. I'm like, man, even if it is, I still wouldn't chase it. And here you go. Like NVIDIA finally breaks the 20-day with some gusto, a little bit of volume, not too great, but talked about the tops were in, guys. And just because it doesn't top in one day, this is where I think people like lose their mind. And so they're like, well, just bullish, just bullish. SMCI kind of looks like a head and shoulders top. Left shoulder, right shoulder. Here's your head. Ten cuidado again. Intel, we talked about, like, look at this. Dead cat bounce and gaps down, said, uh-oh. Now you're making lower lows. We've talked about semis, to me, are the easiest short. And now you got China talking about out there going to print chips. Just make them left and right. Well, that's not going to help out pricing. And here you go. Look where it tests all these levels, and they failed. Watching them all day today, just kind of, okay, we'll see what happens here. And then left and was like, I think it's going to fail at some point. And just happened to get some news with, Kashkari talking, and then you got potential war stuff, and Ukraine joining NATO. It's like a whole cluster F of things. Adobe, here you go. Gaps down. This has been strong in a bull market. Double top. Gaps down. Now potentially making new lows. If that takes out the lows, look below. Apple. This should have been leading, right? Apple should be, looking great. No. It's at the bottom of its range. If that fails, ugh. Amazon riding the lightning. Again, as I call it, riding the upper trend bound. Just keep an eye on it. Meta, nice pop up to 530. Look at this. Makes a new high. Gives it all back. Dude. That feels like a top. That feels like a topping candle. That's just the reality. Like, that's what it feels like. CRM, again, these names have been chopping around. Pops up, gives it up. Guggenheim, we said, hey, look for it. Look for this. If it makes new highs, great. You need to continue on. Nope. 3-day range, we talked about highs, couldn't get over it, giving up. Microsoft, holding up pretty well. Breakout, chop, fake out. Watch the 20-day. Again, a lot of these have a lot of room to drop. NDAQs, we talked about hitting the upside, blow it out. Keep an eye on it. MicroStrategy, again, does this get thrown the baby out with the bathwater? You can't be happy about this if you're a bull. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it's done by any means, but it might be done near term. Look at this huge effing move. We said 200, 2,000 seemed very logical. You got to like 999, 1999.99. Now you want to chase it? I'm telling you, take profits, let things base out, look for floors, trade around your positions. Netflix. I mean, look at this thing was on, like, goes and takes new highs, gives it up. Roblox. I mean, this thing has just been purgatory. Bounces, gives it up. Pan W. Again, I like this name because I think Pelosi's right. There's going to be cyber attack, but do I want to chase it if the market's going to throw the baby out with the bathwater? I mean, I'd be watching this VAP zone here. I mean, here, I'll just draw it just so it's very obvious. Somewhere in this range. And if it breaks through it, look out below. Tesla pops today, all over the place. Again, channel lows. Ugh, your guess is as good as mine. I'm just leaving that sucker alone. Airbnb, as we talked about, doesn't look great. I mean, it rolls up, makes new highs. This big gap down, fills the gap, gives it all back. You've got a 3-day range at 158 and change. If it breaks, goodbye. Costco, talked about this, been on fire. And then we said, ooh, watch the earnings. 20-day, uh-oh. Again, the market doesn't look that good. Starbucks, a global growth name, right? Everybody's drinking coffee all over the world. Well, why does the stock look like shit, isn't it? No good. Be careful. FedEx gaps up on earnings, right? Looks good. Starting to give it back. Caterpillar, this one's been on fire. Again, with the material names up, not surprising. Keep an eye on it. Could be topping. Nucor, again, steel names have been holding up pretty well. Give credit where credit's due. Chopping around. Nippon Steel, we know they're not going to get bought out by, or X not going to get Nippon, so it's chopping around. Good old VALE, as we talked about, like, love this name long-term potentially, right? Like, who doesn't want Brazilian cheap commodities, but why is it acting like crap? Arrow, holding up pretty darn well. Got to give it credit where credit's due. However, today's candle is not super sexy. Little hammer touches like resistance. CCJ, Goldman Sachs upgrade. Ugh. I don't know. Be careful. You need to get over that like 52 area to really confirm it. CF. Again, I like ag. I've said this. We got to eat. Nice bounce in some of these ag names, but some of them just chopping around, not too much. Again, long term, let them throw the baby out with bathwater. Let these names that are in the S&P 500, all these indexes, all these mutual funds, all these guys panicking, selling, let them unload their positions, and then you sip them up. I drink your milkshake. We talked about Alcoa, 38 is probably going to be resistance. XLF posted this morning, said, it doesn't feel good. The doji yesterday fills the gap. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O. Everyone's like, oh, financials. I'm like, man, they hold the biggest risk. So you got the 20 there. JP Morgan goes ex-div today. Morgan Stanley chopping at the top of the range. Just keep an eye on these. Bank of America been holding up pretty darn well. But is that a lower high? 2-day range, lower high at the 37 level. Fail. Goldman Sachs breaks out, right? Uh-oh. Again, watch these candles. The volume's not great. So again, it might be just a little bit of a choppiness. We talked about junior banks, right? Like, zoom out. They look terrible. You're making lower highs and chopping. There's big issues on the horizon, in my opinion, those things. XBI, again, junior bio should be strong. Breaks out, gives it all back. Or not gives it, gets over the breakout and giving it all back. Keep an eye on it. Solar, as we talked about, like, it's just, to me, trash. Trash. Now, if oil prices go higher over time, they'll try to rationalize subsidies. I personally, again, would just tech is the easy one. ENPH, the 200-day, First Solar. We talked about this one loving the 170s. Keep an eye on it. There's your retest potentially, right? This thing loves a retest. Talk about it every video. HYG, again, I don't know why you would want to buy corporate debt. You got to be out of your mind. All right, oil, here we go. Rolling up. Continue. This has got to be driving the Feds nuts. UNG, again, I hate the UNG because it decays. We talked about if natural gas pulls back, this thing is going to get crushed. We like the KOLD short. Been talking about trading around the position on major pops. So far, so good. But again, don't be surprised if it pops, if natural gas gets sold, like they throw the baby out with the bathwater. XOP said, watch the 160 area. Here's your next resistance. Filling the gap. Keep an eye on it. It's been interesting because ExxonMobil, I thought this would be breaking out, hitting the upper end range bound, getting a little tired, right? CVE, this is the one that we've liked. We've talked about this one, breaking the trend down, watching this 21 area, right? Valero, chopping around. New highs. Again, gasoline names, it's got to be putting the Feds in a pickle. MPC, same kind of thing. Feds in a pickle. But again, could they get thrown out with the baby with the bathwater? That's what you got to keep an eye on. Occidental feels like, all right, you're hitting the top of the range. Now you're getting a little tired, right? Just keep an eye on this. Keep an eye on it. EQT, again, I like the idea of this company in time, natural gas, because I do think we'll be natural gas exporters. And again, last but not least, flex LNG because I think we will be natural gas exporting. Trying to get through this quick to make it fast for everybody. So if you have any questions, have any thoughts, please don't hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. Use the Calendly link. Appreciate all the love, the support, the generous donations. Some of y'all are amazing with that. You guys are just hilarious because you're like, dude, I'm riding with you. I'm being patient here. I see what's going on. Well, let's see what happens here. Now, again, it's just like when the more it's up, the less you own. Start understanding that the first drop could get bought at some point and then looking for additional shorts, in my opinion. Because, again, I don't think the economy is holding up. If you have any questions, please reach out. Always here to help. Just be careful with inflation. That's the key here. If it holds up, the market could go all over the place. Talk to you later.